Hello YouTube, it's CM Maritime History here back with another video, and today I will be talking about part 2 of the USS New Jersey series, and we will be going from the Korean War, starting in 1950-1953, all the way through her service in the Vietnam War, ending in 1969. So we'll be going through 19 years of the New Jersey's life in this video, and then we'll cover post-Vietnam as well. But we'll cover the Lebanese Civil War and her reactivation of museum ship use after that. Just want to let you guys know my game plan here. So in 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea, prompting the United States to intervene in the name of the United Nations. President Harry Truman was caught off guard when the invasion started, but quickly ordered U.S. forces stationed in Japan into South Korea. Truman also sent U.S.-based troops, tanks, fighter, and bomber aircraft, and a strong naval force to Korea to support the Republic of Korea. As part of the naval mobilization, New Jersey was recalled from the mothball fleet, or the fleet that wasn't really in use, to provide seaborne artillery support for United Nations and South Korean troops. New Jersey was recommissioned at Bayonne on November 21st, 1950, with Captain David M. Kyrie in command, and she proceeded to the Caribbean where she welded her crew into an efficient body which would meet the demanding requirements of the Korean War. She sailed from Norfolk, Virginia, on April 16, 1951, and arrived from Japan off the east coast of Korea on May 17th. Vice Admiral Harold M. Martin, commanding the United States 7th Fleet, placed his flagship in New Jersey placed his flag in New Jersey for the next 6 months. So that was his flagship for 6 months. New Jersey's guns opened the first shore bombardment for Korean career at Wonsan on May 20th. During her 2 tours of duty in Korean waters, she is again and again to play the part of seaborne mobile artillery. In direct support to United Nations troops, or in preparation for ground actions in interdicting communist supply and communication routes, or in destroying supplies and troop positions, the Jersey used her 16-inch guns to fire far beyond the capacity of land artillery, move rapidly and free from major attack from one target to another, and at the same time could be immediately available to guard aircraft carriers should they require her protection. It was on his first such mission at Wonsan that she received her only combat casualties of the Korean War. One of her men was killed and 2 severely wounded when she took a hit from her shore battery on her number 1 turret and received a near miss aft to port. Between May the 23rd and 27th, and again on May the 30th, 1951, New Jersey pounded targets with her guns near Yangyang and Kansan, dispersing troop concentrations, dropping a bridge span, and destroying 3 large ammunition dumps. Air spotters reported Yangyang abandoned at the end of this action battle, while railroad facilities and vehicles were smashed at Kangsong. On May the 24th, she lost one of her helicopters after the crew pushed their chopper to the limit of its fuel searching for a downed aviator. The helicopter crew was able to reach friendly territory and would later return to their ship. With Admiral Arthur W. Radford, Commander-in-Chief Pacific Fleet, and Vice Admiral C. Turner Joy, Commander of the Naval Forces Far East aboard, New Jersey bombarded targets at Wonsan on June 4th. At Kansong 2 days later, she fired the main battery at an artillery regiment and truck encampment, with 7 Fleet aircraft spotting targets and reported successes. On July 28th, off Wonsan, the battleship was again taken under fire by shore batteries. Several near misses flashed to port, but New Jersey's precision fire silenced the enemy and destroyed several gun emplacements. Between July 4th and 12th, New Jersey supported the United Nations push in the Kansong area, firing at enemy buildup and reorganization positions. As the Republic of Korea's 1st Division hurled itself on the enemy, short fire control observers saw New Jersey salvos, which are fired from the big guns you can see here, hit directly on enemy mortar emplacements, supply and ammunition dumps, and personnel concentrations. New Jersey returned to Wonsan on July 18th for an exhibition of perfect firing, 5 gun emplacements demolished and 5 direct hits. New Jersey sailed to the aid of troops of the Republic of Korea once more on August the 17th, returning to the Kansong area where for 4 days she provided harassing fire by night and murder counterattacks by day, inflicting a heavy toll on enemy troops. She returned to this general area yet again on August 29th when she fired an amphibious demonstration staged behind enemy lines to ease pressure on the Republic of Korea's troops. The next day she started a 3-day saturation of the Chongon area, with one of her own helicopters spotting the results. 4 buildings destroyed, road junctions smashed, railroad marshalling yards afire, tracks cut and uprooted, coal stalks scattered, and many buildings and warehouses set ablaze. Aside from a brief break in firing on September 23rd to take aboard wounded from the Korean frigate Apnoch, damaged by gunfire, New Jersey was heavily engaged in bombarding the Kansong area, supporting the movement of the USS Corps. The pattern again was harassing fire by night and destruction of known targets by day. Enemy movement was restricted by the fire for big guns. A bridge, a dam, several gun emplacements, mortar positions, pillboxes, bunkers, and 2 ammunition dumps were demolished. No, and by the way, just in case you will ask, a pillbox is not one of those little boxes that holds pills. If I remember correctly, it's like let me just look at this here. It's a bunker. Yeah, it's just a bunker. Another name for a bunker. On October the 1st, 1951, General Omar Bradley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and General Matthew B. Ridgway, commander-in-chief of the Far East, came on board to confer with Admiral Martin. Between October the 1st and 6th, New Jersey was in action daily at Kansong, Hamhung, Hungnam, Tanchan, and Songjin. Enemy bunkers and supply concentrations provided the majority of the targets at Kansong, and the others New Jersey fired on railroads, tunnels, bridges, and oil refinery trains and shore batteries. She also engaged in enemy gun emplacement of her 5-inch, 127mm gun mounts, which New Jersey successfully destroyed. The Kojo area was a target on October the 16th, as she sailed in company with the famous HMS Belfast. That will be another video. Pilots from HMAS Sydney were spotted. The operation was well planned and coordinated, and excellent results were obtained. Another highly satisfactory day was October the 16th, when a spotter over the Kansong area reported beautiful shooting, every shot on target, most beautiful shooting I've seen in 5 years. This is what the spotter said. This 5-hour bombardment leveled 10 artillery positions and smashing trenches and bunkers, inflicting some 500 enemy casualties. New Jersey dashed up the North Korean coast, raiding transportation facilities from the 1st to 6th of November. She struck at bridges, road, and rail installations at Wonsan, Hungnam, Tanchan, Iwon, Songjin, and Chongjin, leaving 4 bridges destroyed, others badly damaged, 2 marshalling yards badly torn up, and many feet of track destroyed. For renewed attacks on Kansong and the Cheongsan-got Peninsula on November 11th and 13th, New Jersey completed her first tour of duty in Korea. Relieved this flagship by USS Wisconsin, New Jersey cleared Yokosuka for Hawaii, Long Beach, and the Panama Canal, and returned to Norfolk on December 20th for a 6-month overhaul. Between July 1952 and the 5th of September of that same year, she sailed as flagship of Rear Admiral H.R. Thurber, who commanded the NROTC midshipman training crews to Cherbourg, Lisbon, and the Caribbean. Now New Jersey prepared and trained for her second Korean tour, for which she sailed from Norfolk on March 5th, 1953. Shaping her course via the Panama Canal, Long Beach, and Hawaii, New Jersey reached Yokosuka on April 5th. The next day, relieved Missouri as flagship of Vice Admiral Joseph H. Clark, commander of the 7th Fleet. On the 12th of April, New Jersey returned to action by shelling the city of Chongjin, let me say that right. In 7 minutes, she scored 7 direct hits, blowing away half the main communications building there. At Pusan, 2 days later, New Jersey manned her rails as well as the President of the Republic of Korea and Madame Lee, and American Ambassador L.S.O. Briggs. New Jersey fired on coastal batteries and buildings at Kojo on April 16th, on railway track and tunnels near Hungham on April 18th, and on gun emplacements around Wonsan Harbor on April 20th, silencing them in 5 areas after she herself had taken several new missiles. Songjin provided targets on April 23rd. Here, New Jersey scored 6 direct 6-inch hits on a railroad tunnel and knocked out 2 rail bridges. She provided artillery support for a major air service strike on Wonsan on May the 1st. As 7th Fleet planes both attacked the enemy and spotted for the battleship. She knocked down 11 communist shore guns that day, and 4 days later destroyed the key observation post on the island of Hodo Bando, commanding that harbor. 2 days later, Kalmagak and Wonsan was her target. New Jersey's 10th birthday on May 23, 1953, was celebrated at Incheon with President and Madame Reed, Lieutenant General Maxwell D. Taylor, and other dignitaries on board. 2 days later, New Jersey returned to action along the west coast at Chinampo to knock out harbor defense positions. She was under fire at Wonsan on 27th and 28th of May, but her 5-inch guns silenced counterfire. Sorry. And her 16-inch shells destroyed 5 gun emplacements and 4 gun caves. She also had a target that flamed spectacularly, either a fuel storage area or an ammunition dump. New Jersey returned to the key task of direct support to troops at Koh Song on June 7th. On her first mission, she completely destroyed 2 gun positions, an observation post, and the supporting trenches. She then stood by on call for further aid. She then sailed back to Wonside for a day-long bombardment on June the 24th, aimed at guns placed in caves. The results were excellent, with 8 direct hits on 3 caves, 1 cave demolished and 4 others closed. Next day, she returned to troop support at Koh Song, her assignment until July 10th, aside from necessary withdrawal for replenishment. At sunrise on July 25, 1953, New Jersey was off the Keyport Rail and Communications Center of Hungam, pounding coastal guns, bridges, a factory area, and oil storage tanks. She sailed north that afternoon, firing at rail lines and railroad tunnels as she made for Kanchon, where she launched a whaleboat in an attempt to spot a train going to run nightly along the coast. Her big guns were trained on 2 tunnels, between which she would hope to catch the train, but in the darkness she could not see the results of her 6 guns, however. Like I said earlier, sorry for the coughing in my other video. This is, of course, the New Jersey dock, but I could not find a picture of her post-Korean War, so I just found a picture of her. Her mission at Wansell the next day was her very last. Here she destroyed large-caliber guns, bunkers, caves, and trenches. 2 days later, she learned of the truce. Her crew celebrated during a 7-day visit at Hong Kong, where she anchored on August 20th. Operations around Japan and off Formosa were carried out for the remainder of her tour, which was highlighted by a visit to Busan. Here, President Reed came aboard on September the 16th to present the Korean Presidential Unit Citation for the 7th Fleet. Sorry, my throat gets dry from talking so much. Relieved as flagship at Yokosuka by Wisconsin on October the 14th, New Jersey was homeward bound the next day, reaching Norfolk on November the 14th. For the next 2 summers, she crossed the Atlantic with midshipmen on board for training, and during the rest of the year, she sharpened her skills with exercises and training maneuvers along the Atlantic coast and the Caribbean. She stood out of Norfolk on September 7, 1955, for her first tour of duty with the United States Sixth Fleet in the Mediterranean. Her ports of call included Gibraltar, Valencia, Cannes, Istanbul, Ceuta Bay, and Barcelona. She returned to Norfolk on January 7, 1956, for the spring program of training operations. That summer, she again carried midshipmen to Northern Europe for training, bringing home to Annapolis on July 31st. She sailed for Europe once more on August 27 as flagship of Vice Admiral Charles Wellborn, Jr., commander of the United States Second Fleet. She called at Lisbon, participated in NATO exercises off Scotland, and paid an official visit to Norway, where Crown Prince Olav was a guest. She returned to Norfolk on 15th of October, and on 14th of December, she arrived at New York Naval Shipyard for inactivation. She was decommissioned and placed in reserve at Bayonne on August 21st, 1957. Here's that other picture I was telling you about in part 1. Because if you look back here, it's the same picture. But it's firing in this one. Due to heavy loss rates of U.S. aircraft commencing with Operation Rolling Thunder in 1965, studies were conducted on ways of alleviating those air losses, while at the same time delivering the ordnance payloads required by the escalation of the Vietnam War. On 31st of May, 1967, the Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, I think I said that right, authorized a study aimed at determining what would be required to get New Jersey reactivated in her present condition, and when the results of the submitted study proved favorable toward the reactivation, he took action. In August 1967, the Secretary of Defense made the decision to recommission a battleship for employment in the Pacific Fleet to augment naval gunfire support forces in Southeast Asia. New Jersey was selected for this task because she was in better material condition than her sisters, having received an extensive overhaul prior to decommissioning. Upon her reactivation, she underwent a period of modernization during which the 20mm and 40mm anti-aircraft guns of the battleship were removed, and she received improved electronic warfare systems and improvements to her radar. Armed as such, New Jersey was formally recommissioned on April 6, 1968, at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, Captain J. Edward Snyder in command. During sea trials following her modernization, New Jersey set the battleship world speed record by achieving a speed of 35.2 knots, maintaining this speed for 6 hours. New Jersey, then the world's only active battleship, departed Philadelphia on May 16th, calling at Norfolk, and transiting the Panama Canal on June 4th before arriving at her new home port of Long Beach, California on June 11th. Further training of Southern California followed. On July the 24th, New Jersey received 16-inch shells and powder tanks from the SS Mount Katmai by conventional highline transfer by helicopter lift. First time heavy battleship ammunition had been transferred by helicopter at sea, now known as vertical replenishment. Departing Long Beach on September the 2nd, New Jersey touched at Pearl Harbor and Subic Bay before traveling September the 25th for her first tour on the gun line along the Vietnamese coast. Near the 17th parallel on September the 30th, the battleship fired her first shots of battle in over 16 years, expending a total of 29 16-inch rounds against People's Army of Vietnam targets in and near the demilitarized zone in the 17th parallel. New Jersey took up station off Tiger Island on October the 1st and fired at targets north of the DMZ before moving south that afternoon to engage Viet Cong targets. She accounted for 6 bunkers, a supply truck, and an anti-aircraft site that day. Additionally, she helped rescue the crew of a Marine spotting plane forced down at sea by anti-aircraft fire. On October the 3rd, New Jersey fired on targets south of Tiger Island, and on October the 4th, the battleship fired on a communist troop concentration and destroyed several bunkers. On the evening of October the 7th, New Jersey received reports that a number of waterborne logistics craft were moving south into the mouth of the Songyeon River. Yeah. Songyeon River, not the Squid Game character, just the river. New Jersey responded by closing on the formation and succeeded in sinking 11 of the craft before they could beach themselves. On October the 11th, New Jersey engaged in a coastal installation with her guns. However, she shifted her fire when a recon plane spotting for the battleship boarded the enemy truck concentration north of Nha Kai. New Jersey gunners quickly retrained the battleship's big guns and managed to inflict heavy damage on 6 of the vehicles. Early on the morning of October the 12th, New Jersey trained her guns in anticipation of shelling the heavily fortified and well-protected Vin Caves. For the next 3 days, New Jersey pounded the area with her 16-inch shells in an effort to eliminate the Viet Cong presence in the region. Aided by spotter aircraft from the aircraft carrier USS Verita, New Jersey engaged enemy targets, setting several enemy positions on fire and sealing one cave. On October the 14th, USS New Jersey shifted her gunfire to the coastal artillery sites on Hong Man Island, destroying one battery on the island. On October the 16th, New Jersey took up station and supported the U.S. 3rd Marine Division. Using both her 16-inch and 5-inch guns, New Jersey engaged and destroyed 13 structures and an artillery site. In the process, halted an enemy platoon moving through the DMZ. New Jersey continued to lend firepower support the 17th until departing to lend her gunfire to the 17th. I lost something, sorry. To the 7th, Continued to lend firepower on the 17th until departing to lend her gunfire to the 1st Field Force. Foul weather prevented spotter aircraft from flying until October the 20th. However, she quickly made up for lost time on the gun line by destroying a Viet Cong command post and 9 bunkers in support of the 173rd Airborne Brigade. On October the 28th, New Jersey steamed south to engage communist targets. During the shelling, aircraft spotting from the battleship reported taking heavy anti-aircraft fire to the extreme north of the target zone. Subsequently, New Jersey altered her fire to silence the sight of her big guns. The next day, she leveled 30 structures, destroyed 3 underground bunkers, and shelled the Viet Cong trench line. That afternoon, an aerial observer, probably one in a helicopter, located an enemy artillery position on a hilltop southwest of Cape Lay. New Jersey responded by firing 6 16-inch rounds at the site, destroying it. Follow-up assaults on October the 30th destroyed a communist resupply area and an anti-aircraft site. Sorry. The official PAVN history claims that on October the 28th, their 25th Battery 21st Artillery Battalion using 130mm guns hit the New Jersey, setting it ablaze. Upon completion of this mission, New Jersey steamed south, taking a position off Da Nang and Point Day to land naval gunfire support to the U.S. 1st Marine Division, which was operating on the area. Throughout January and into February, New Jersey operated in support of the U.S. Marines. February 10th, battleship left to reinforce Korean 2nd Marine Brigade operating near Da Nang. Battleship's target was a suspected subterranean staging area for a Vietcong regiment. Her big guns fired 16-inch shells in the tunnels and bunkers to aid the ground troops. For the remainder of February and into March, New Jersey shelled targets along the DMZ. On March 13th, battleship On March 13th, battleship departed the gun line bound for Subic Bay. She returned to action on March 20th, operating near Cam Ranh Bay in support of the Korean Light Infantry Division. The next week, New Jersey patrolled the waters between Phan Thiet and Tu Hoea, shelling targets of opportunity along the coast. On March 28th, New Jersey took up station south of the DMZ to aid the 3rd Marine Division, remaining there until April 1st. Warrior Podge departed for Japan. During the battleship's tour of duty along the gun line of Vietnam, New Jersey had fired 5,688 rounds of 16-inch shells and 14,891 rounds of 5-inch shells. And I know this has been a long video, but this is the last part of it. And then part 3 will be the Lebanese Civil War and her reserve fleet and museum ship time. Her first Vietnam combat tour completed, New Jersey departed Subic Bay on April 3, 1969 for Japan. She arrived at Yokosuka for a 2-day visit to the United States on April 9th. Her homecoming, however, was to be delayed. On the 15th, while New Jersey was still at sea, North Korean jet fighters shot down an unarmed EC-121 Constellation electronic surveillance plane over the Sea of Japan, killing its entire crew. A carrier task force was formed and sent to the Sea of Japan while New Jersey was ordered to come about and steam toward Japan. On the 22nd, she arrived once more at Yokosuka and immediately put the sea in readiness for what might befall. As the crisis eased, New Jersey was released to continue her interrupted voyage. She anchored at Long Beach on May 5, 1969, her first visit to her home port in 8 months. Through the summer months, her crew toiled to make her ready for the deployment, and deficiencies discovered on the gun line were remedied. According to official reports, the reasons of economy would dictate otherwise. On August 22, 1969, the United States Secretary of Defense, Melvin Laird, released a list of names of ships that were to be inactivated. At the top of the list was the New Jersey. 5 days later, Captain Slater was relieved of command by Captain Robert C. Peniston. Assuming command of the ship already earmarked for the mothball fleet, Captain Peniston and his crew prepared for their task. New Jersey got underway on the voyage on September the 6th, departing Long Beach from Puget Sound Naval Shipyard. She arrived on the 8th and began pre-inactivation overhaul to begin herself for decommissioning. On December the 17th, 1969, her colors were hauled down as she entered the inactive fleet, following the words of her last commanding officer, "Rest well, yet sleep lightly," and hear the call again sounded to provide firepower for freedom. So this is part 2 of the USS New Jersey story. And in part 3, we will cover her reactivation, the Civil War, the Lebanese Civil War, Post-Lebanese Development, and her reserve fleet museum ship service. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and have a good day. Bye. Sorry this was a long one, I just had a lot to cover.